I spend a lot of time thinking about productivity, ways to operate more efficiently, to get more done, to squeeze more out of my day. Now, I spend a lot of time thinking about this because I work at home and my mortgage depends on my ability to regulate my own schedule. And I am really bad at regulating my own schedule. Work for yourself, they said. It'll be fulfilling, they said. Be careful what you wish for. Now, truthfully, I am extremely blessed to work for myself and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I still do get a bit of the grass is always greener when I think about people who are tethered to a job and their first task of every weekday is just showing up. Not what I have to deal with, which is the cycle of procrastination, guilt, distraction, writer's block, more guilt, more anxiety, hopelessness. Oh shit, wife's home from work. Better luck tomorrow. So I consume a fair bit of productivity content to hopefully squeeze out some tricks that will keep this makeshift helicopter I call a career from falling straight out of the sky. Now, most of productivity content comes down to strategy. How do I keep necessary tasks organized and in front of me? How do I train my brain to stay focused? How do I limit distractions? Basically, how to operate like a clerical T-1000, living only for the mission at hand and possessing the ability to execute it with murderous efficiency. But there's something else that comes before all this, something that was certainly relevant in my life plan and something that might be important to you as well. This is the nature of what it is that you want, which determines why you want to be productive in the first place. As an example, I had a frequent poster on one of the boards that I run named Tim, and Tim would frequently write asking not about the best way to train or about how to solve actual problems related to lifting, but he would ask for tips on how to make himself train in the first place. Every week for several months, he would write a short essay on the woes of trying to force himself into his garage in order to get his workout in that he had been putting off. In vivid detail, he would describe what he would call inner tantrums that he would throw while trying to make himself work out. He would describe this battle of tug-of-war that existed between the part of his brain that thought training would be a good and necessary thing to do and the rest of his brain that wanted to do anything else. Now, this took me a bit by surprise because it was several steps back from the normal point of discussion that we normally have on a board like that. When you're running a course on more advanced strategies for a particular field, you assume that the people present have already dealt with the question of, why am I here? Do I even want to be here? Tim had been lifting for a long time, but seemed to be at the level of, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I feel like I should, and I want to make myself want it. The strategic productivity hacking elements that we normally think of are appropriate for people who don't have this hiccup. You're looking at employees at a corporate retreat or D1 football players, people who have already committed, already have skin in the game, and are looking to get a bit more out of what they already do exceptionally well. But for those who are still trying to try, they need a first step type of productivity. This is the type that involves getting somebody off the couch to get momentum in the first place, convincing them that change is within their power, or in Tim's case, rediscovering why he should spend time doing the things he finds so hard to do. This isn't just showing up for work or organizing your laundry, but about finding purpose, reaching your fully actualized self, and populating your day with various things you think will bring about that goal. Now, in this process, a strange problem occurs because finding this purpose that causes you to do the hard work of taking that first step is based around what you ultimately want. And even though a 5-year-old can tell you what it means to want something, with human adults, that is one of the most stupidly complex questions there is. Wanting to read a book because you are incredibly interested in the topic and you love reading is a wildly different want than wanting to read a book because the knowledge is required to achieve some other goal like passing a class, or because you like the idea of being knowledgeable in that topic so you can tell people how much you know about it at cocktail parties. These big W wants are all the things that reinforce themselves, since a true want tends to organize everything around it already. I want sugar, so I'm baking cookies. I want a paycheck, so I show up to work. I actually want to read a book, so I don't think up a bunch of other things to do instead. I just sit down and read. Productivity for these things is just simple strategies that let you do a little bit more with your time or squeeze it in amidst all of the other obligations that you have. But there are also secondary wants, which are what most people talk about. And I think this is what encompasses a lot of productivity content. These are wishful thinking wants, things that you would just love to do if only the circumstances that led you to them involved no real participation on your end. These usually exist behind some paywall where a lot of time, money, or effort is required. And gosh, I just got so behind this week. Maybe after summer when the kids are back in school, I'll get to it. You often talk about these wants as being big life goals. These are the mountains that you would like to climb before you die. And when you live in some fantasy world where you have literally no obligation or distractions to keep you from them, you might actually get around to checking them off your bucket list. Now, I am routinely faced with people in lifting culture that talk about the goals that they have that are certainly desirable to have, but require a level of discipline, planning, and consistent weekly sacrifice that will only be done by somebody who wants, with a big W, that end goal. But these goals get offered up along with a bunch of contingencies that make you question their real motives. I want to drop to 10% body fat and get a six-pack, as long as it doesn't interfere with my social and emotional eating habits. I want to double my strength and enter into a contest, as long as I don't have to gain any body weight or stay in the gym too long. If you're beginning the discussion with the list of things you aren't going to do, the word goal does not apply. It is a fantasy, something you hope happens by luck. It's the want of promotions and raises without staying late or working weekends. The want of a girlfriend without wanting to go through the pain of meeting and talking to other humans. The want of a house when interest rates drop, the market levels out, and you win the lottery. There are broadly two reasons why you actually might end up meeting a lofty goal such as these. Reason one is that the end goal is an absolute must for you, something you either need to have met your minimum expectation for life, or something that you love, the thought of which keeps you up at night. A lot of first step type motivational and productivity type material has been written on making your goals a must. I still remember the first Tony Robbins CD I listened to that made me painfully aware that I was treating my goals as something that was optional. And the problem was that I was regularly opting to do anything else. This led me to reframe how I think of the things I engage in, to really get right with what I believe and how I use that to drive my action. Work, for example, for me is a must because not having work just isn't an option. It's not something I'd settle for. I believe that even if money was no object, if I had all the money in the world, a work schedule is necessary to keep me engaged and sharp, to keep me emotionally regulated, to give me a feeling of purpose and satisfaction, and to provide some basic status in the society that also provides me all of those things. And those all are very important to me. So I don't say work is a must because it sounds nice or makes me look like a hard worker. I believe it in my bones, so I act accordingly. Competing in strongman and lifting events is also a must because I absolutely love it. Not so much because I need it to meet my minimum expectations, but it brings me joy. When I sign up for a contest 4 months out, the last thing I think about before falling asleep every night leading up to it is the next thing I'm going to do to help piece together that prep. I think about the rush I felt during the last contest I was in and how I can improve for this one. And that leads me to do all of the sucky things like surviving brutal weight cuts or training through injuries that I otherwise would have no reason to do, because my brain has already accepted that it's necessary to get to the cookie. It's exhilarating, it's fun, and it's how I wish I felt for every other chore that I have to do in life. Now, the second reason that you might end up meeting such a lofty goal is because you actually love the things that make up the process that take you towards that goal. So if reading textbooks for you is especially fun and exciting, you might accidentally find yourself reaching a lofty goal like getting a degree. This is something that you can actually condition yourself to in the pursuit of bigger goals to increase the likelihood of getting to that goal. After years of chasing big goals in the gym, where I was primarily worried about making myself bigger, more muscular, changing my body, I tightly associated weight training with the satisfaction of seeing improvement in my body and my numbers. Now it's at the point where the training itself is enough motivation to go to the gym, so much so that I would still lift even if I didn't compete. A hard workout leaves me feeling with the exhausted euphoria that I felt when I first noticed my body start to improve as a wee teenager. The fact is, the task that leads to the result for me is a big W by itself. Guys, you know you won't catch me in anything other than barbell apparel gear. They put out the absolute best stuff on the market. And for right now, for a limited time, they're giving away a free stealth hoodie, normally an $88 value, for absolutely free with any purchase over $99. I really love the moisture wicking, odor resistant material. The way it's form fitting, it's great for keeping you warm in those early morning workouts. When you start out, everything's a little rusty, joints are a little achy, but then it starts to wick away heat right as your body temperature starts to cook, right as you start to get after it. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear that they make. So go ahead, pick some stuff up, treat yourself, get a couple of Bromley tees. We got the Brick by Brick Pity tee. We got the Strength Conquers Gorilla tee. And we got my favorite, the Big Dreams Bad Jeans Godzilla tee. And everybody knows knows if you're chasing big squats and deads, you get those thunder thighs, you get those horse hips that acquire special accommodation, and they have the absolute best athletic fitting jeans and shorts on the market. So pick some gear up today, support the channel, and get yourself a free stealth hoodie. Supplies are limited. They're going to run out soon. So in the case of Tim, who wrote many small novels on procrastination, a question came to my mind. If the training that leads to the result, the big gains in the gym that you might see, isn't a big W want, which is something that you would genuinely love to do, and if the potential physical result that would represent the big goal at the end that might make you suffer through the training isn't a big W want either, then why are you working so hard to trick yourself into doing it? What is your ultimate goal? Is it sincere enough and real and authentic enough to justify the grief that you're putting yourself through for not having met it? Now, this isn't about talking anybody out of trying. Lord knows I know my way around a rough start. In fact, I've had so many rough starts in pursuit of my goals that I created an analogy to describe it. It's the rusty lawnmower. I pull it once, I pull it again, and then I repeat every day for several years until I finally get it to start. Now, this is really important for big things that people struggle with, like improving income, finding a partner, getting your health in order. These are all things that you can commit yourself to and slowly grind out process over time, because it really is worth it at the end. These are pretty big W wants for most people as it is, and we can certainly find a way to carve a path of action towards making all the steps along the way a must. But the things that usually lead us to productivity channels are often about squeezing in the frivolous wants, the things we think would be in a Dos Equis commercial about the most interesting man in the world. You have to realize that if there isn't a genuine must there, you should probably reconsider your commitment. Truth be told, if I was teaching advanced techniques on knitting instead of lifting, and someone in class was routinely asking, but how do I make myself knit? I hate knitting so much. My response would be, you might need to find another hobby. So if you are up against something that you want to do, or if you're like me and you have too long a list of things you want to do, strongly consider how many of those things keep you up at night with excitement, and how many of those things represent frivolous wants that are just sucking attention away from those more important things. Because if you insist on hoarding goals and cramming your to-do list with the little wants, the less important things that you're not likely to pay the toll to do, they will keep you procrastinating, they will consume energy, they will fill you with unnecessary guilt, and they will make sure that you never get the big wants done in the first place. So consider this tip from billionaire legend Warren Buffett. Write a list of the 25 things you want to do in your life. Every ambition, every milestone, every achievement. Now cut it down to 5. Now look at this list and realize that this is not about prioritizing the top 5 ahead of the other 20. This is actually a list for eliminating things that didn't make the cut. So if it didn't make the top 5, don't engage with it. Like seriously, at all. Take anything that has anything to do with those bottom 20 tasks, get rid of it, and orient your effort towards the top 5. Once you realize that those are the things causing you undue anxiety that you're probably not going to get done anyways, it'll be very easy to treat them like a bad ex who keeps coming around, fucking up your other plans right when you have something good going. I am positive that when you find that top 5 list of things, the ones that do keep you up at night with excitement, no one will have to trick you into showing up. The homework will feel like play. You will actually develop mastery in these fields, and their role as a consistent anchor for your daily activities will lead to specialization that will have made you truly efficient in your productivity. That's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Have you experienced this in lifting? Is your to-do list, your bucket list of things you want to get done too cluttered? And do all these little things start finding their way into your day? Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see ya.